Miss Joanne and Miss Deborah Chima, Miss Joanne Chazima and Miss Deborah Chima with us today. All right, and Miss Deborah, if you're able to turn on your cameras as well, we'd love to see your beautiful face.
Hello, how are you?
Good day, good day. It's a pleasure to see you both in our second session, Warrior Discussion English Counterpart number 2. And we just came from part 1, and I don't know if you were able to catch some of that one, but we had some powerful statements by 2 strong warrior women. And just from the introduction that I got from both of you, I can tell we're in for a treat today as well. And so I want you both to give a brief introduction of yourself, and then we'll start diving into the questions. So Joanne, why don't we start with you? Can you give us a brief introduction, and then we'll move on to Deborah.
Oh, hi, Dr. Titi. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah. So my name is Joanne Chazima, co-founder and executive director of Joanne Chazima Sickle Cell Foundation. I am a mother. I'm a wife, a mother of 3 beautiful children, and an advocate for sickle cell disease.
Wonderful. And Deborah, can you give us your introduction?
First and foremost, I want to thank Agnes and the Australian sickle cell advocates. They are doing a great job bringing warriors across the world together. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to share my story as well. Hope it can inspire other warriors out there that are afraid to speak out. So my name is Deborah Chima. I'm 27 years. I live in Titilope, Copper Belt, Zambia, and I have sickle cell disease, SS. So I'm a passionate sickle cell advocate. At least I consider myself as one, and I love spreading awareness on my social media platforms where I talk about my life with sickle cell and everything involved with it.
Wonderful. I'm already impressed. And, you know, at the last session, I asked the 2 panelists whether, you know, because we say the word warrior and we know warriors undergo challenges, warriors have battles. And I had asked them to describe one of their most difficult challenges or battles with their sickle cell disease. I'll ask you the same, but I saw something that is common to the 2 of you is that you're both, should I say, professional now with advocacy? How did that come about? How did you find the ability to take your life and become an advocate from there? Let's start with the challenge, and then you can tell me more about the advocacy. So Deborah, why don't we start with you this time?
So sickle cell disease comes with a lot of challenges, and if I talk about what I've had to endure with it, it would take a whole day. Life with sickle cell is not easy. It's not easy dealing with chronic pain daily. It's not easy having it disrupt my daily activities, my goals, and everything. So I've had to deal with a lot of challenges. In 2009, the complication where my gallbladder developed gallstones, I had to get surgery, which was a very complicated one. Since in my introduction, I said that I'm a witness. As witnesses, you know, we don't get blood transfusion. So it was really a difficult time because doctors refused to operate on me, but we had to sit them down and agree on certain things, and they had to proceed with my surgery. Right now, I'm battling a vascular necrosis in both legs, which is not easy, as walking has become difficulty, and the limping as well. You know how people are, the stigma and everything. So it takes a toll on my self-esteem. And last year, you know, the whole world is battling one very bad virus, which is the coronavirus. So I had COVID last year, which really took a toll on my body. Even right now, I'm still dealing with the side effects of it.
Well, we are, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
And another big challenge now which I have is chronic pain. Dealing with chronic pain every day, because right now it has limited many of my daily activities. I'm not as energetic and self-reliant as I was before. So it's a constant struggle to always rely on other people.
And yet I'm just impressed that you're still able to advocate. So again, looking at you, the gorgeous clothes, the beautiful face, the earrings, I would have never known that you're going through all those things. When did you become an advocate then? Like in that timeline with everything you've been dealing with, how did that come about?
I've always been interested, growing up, I've always been interested about knowing more about my illness, but I became an advocate fully last year when I contracted COVID-19.
Okay.
I decided to publicly start speaking about my illness and spreading awareness to other warriors that are afraid to speak up, and also to just help everyone dealing with other chronic illnesses. It's not just about sickle cell. I get a lot of DMs from other people that are dealing with a lot of chronic illness. So that's the main goal. I took up advocacy.
Well, thank you for sharing. And we're going to come back to that because you said some very important things. But let's move on to Joanne. And can you share with us, likewise, some things that you've considered a challenge in your warrior life and what inspired you into advocacy as well?
Dr. Titi, I don't know where to start. Same as Deborah. In, it's a whole lot of things, a lot of issues that come with having sickle cell disease. I can just mention a few. I've gone through surgeries. I've gone through removal of my gallbladder. I've gone through removal of I had ovarian cysts. I've gone through pregnancy, of which one, especially the twin pregnancy, my last bonds, we had to do a CS. But the one thing that actually just made me shift was in 2011, I had a really bad episode of pain. Eventually, it built up to many other things, which eventually I ended up having pneumonia. I ended up having kidney failure, acute kidney failure. I ended up having a stroke. Once we started dialysis, I ended up having a stroke. And from that moment on, and I kept on asking myself, why is it that God spared me? Why is it that with all that, because I remember I was in hospital for about 5 weeks. And I asked myself, okay, how is it that God wanted me to be here? How is it that He's given me a second lease of life? And that's when I told myself, you know what? And the interesting part, Dr. Titi, is I only got to know I had sickle cell at the age of 22, which is also, yes.
Wow. Okay.
Which is mind baffling, because now I'm like, how come we've been falling ill, my sister and I, we've been falling ill. Sadly enough, we lost my sister when she had just turned 18. And I had to get to 22 is when I discovered that I had sickle cell. And of course, the myths that come with sickle cell is that you don't get past 18. Those are the challenges that we face. And when I got to 22 and I still had sickle cell and I was still, I was still alive, I was like, okay, you know what? Maybe there's a reason why I'm alive. And that it took time for me to even just accept myself and learn to take care of myself and just learn, just to manage this situation. Now, fast forward, after just trying to understand how to manage myself, after just trying to understand and learn, because we didn't have proper information about sickle cell previously. The little information we had was, it's not even a full page of a book, So it had to get to just now trying to research, trying to understand, trying to know exactly what I am supposed to do. And in 2011, when I had that episode, is when I told myself, you know what, I'm not alone. There are many others who don't have this information. There are many others who don't understand the proper management of sickle cell disease and all that. And that's how in 2017 is when now we started this organization, mainly to create awareness and just advocate for persons living with sickle cell disease and just teach persons living with this condition on how to manage themselves. Because it starts with you. Healthcare is your health is your responsibility. So it needs to start with you. Before anybody else comes in, before the doctor comes in, I mean, what parts are you gonna play? So that's why we're in this space.
Yes.
Wow,
I'm just, as you said, they can be long stories, but these are very fascinating, and you look beautiful. I would, all the things you just described, no way I would have been able to just look at you and say, this woman has had these battle scars, if you will. And both of you said something interesting. It sounded as if, should I say, is it a near-death experience or something very striking about your health that was so traumatizing, and yet it pivoted and inspired you to become an advocate, which I find interesting. For Deborah, it was the experience that you had with COVID and just having that, I would say, frightening experience of having COVID. And then Joanne, is when you had that sense of, okay, where is my sickle cell going? What is happening? Why do I feel alone? And then you took that around, you turned it around. So if you could talk to your younger self, based on what you are both sharing, what would you say? How would you inspire young people when they have a disease like this? They've been told by doctors they're going to die at 18. What are we going to say to them? And I have to emphasize the context of where you're both living. Joanne, you're in Kenya, and where you're in Zambia, if I'm correct. And I wonder, do you feel how much of that plays a role in where you feel like the voice and empowerment comes from? And you can take that you can take the question however you see fit. Deborah, why don't we start with you again?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, so I was wondering, now that you mentioned you were 27, and if you were talking to your younger self, or a young woman or a young man with sickle cell disease, what would you tell them, knowing that you faced some challenges along the way? How would you encourage them? And then anything else you wanted to add to that as well?
Okay, thank you. So when you have a chronic illness like sickle cell, it's important to accept and love yourself so that it doesn't have to hinder you in everything you do. I get a lot of questions from warriors asking me, how do you manage accepting that you have sickle cell? Because it gets to disrupt almost everything in my life. So you have to first love yourself enough and accept that, okay, I have sickle cell, but sickle cell does not have me. I can do everything that others can do. It's just that I can do it at a limited pace than people without sickle cell. Also, another thing is it's important to educate yourself fully about it so that you can manage it better, advocate for yourself as well as other warriors. We face a lot of stigma, especially when we are seeking medical attention. So if you don't educate yourself enough on sickle cell, how are you going to advocate for yourself or other warriors? So my message to my fellow warriors and caregivers is that let's stop the bias towards sickle cell disease. Let's normalize talking about it. Sickle cell is nothing to be ashamed of. Talking about it will help us fight the stigma and misconceptions about sickle cell disease. So that's why that's one of the main reasons as well I opened the page on my social media platform, which is called Beauty Beneath the Pain. This is where I talk about my struggles and everything that has to do with sickle cell, and just to encourage warriors out there to be positive. Yes, we have this dreadful disease, but it's not the end of the world. There's a lot we can do. And also, it's true, sickle cell comes with a lot of struggles and pain that teachers want to find ways to deal with. But there are other things that we can be grateful of, and that's the love we get from our families and friends, and just other people that get inspired by our stories.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you.
I love that. I'm putting it in the chat too. Beauty beneath the pain. I love that reference to it. I don't think I've ever heard it put that way before, and I love that. Let's move on to Joanne. Can you also share what you would tell either your younger self or other warriors, and maybe even touch on the stigma that Deborah mentioned as well?
Thanks, Dr. Titi. Before I even accepted that I had sickle cell, it was a challenge. I would walk into the streets of Nairobi, and because of the yellowness of my eyes, someone would tell me, "You're sick. You know, you need to go see a doctor right away." And believe me or not, I would cry. I would cry because I'm like, why me? Why am I the one who's handling this? Why isn't everybody else dealing with this? But yeah, it took time. But I would tell someone with sickle cell, you know what? It is what it is. Just learn from it, accept it, and then just find every information you can about this condition. Because I believe 80% is what you do than what the doctor does for you. So just learn the best way to manage. When it is cold, what do you do? I mean, do you just not keep yourself warm? Do you not hydrate and you expect the pain not to come? So knowledge is power. Learn everything that you can about sickle cell and just do your best. In the situation that you're in, do your best. I know every day might not be the best day for you. And just like Deborah, I am also battling chronic pain, and I have gotten to a point whereby I don't know what else to do. But every day that I'm given, I tell myself, you know what, I will do what I can, and the rest will leave it for tomorrow, if I see tomorrow. But we thank God that at least we're still given another day, another chance to face the day. So just push forward, no matter what, push forward.
Wonderful. I feel like I don't even have anything else to cap. One of you said beauty beneath the pain, and you are now saying push forward, even with that knowledge. And there's one comment on the chat. We have to wrap up shortly. But it sounds as if this person said that because we all have different ways of experiencing sickle cell, sometimes it sounds as if they're saying, when you do the comparison game, like, oh, mine is not as bad or mine is not as good as that person. Do you ever feel, I guess they're referring to imposter or survivor's guilt, you know, when you know, okay, others have died or others have it worse off than me. How do you manage that when the good times are happening sometimes and you can't always explain it when you see bad things happen to others? Does that make sense? I think that's what the person is trying to say. And we can end with that.
Yeah,
yes, go ahead.
Sickle cell manifests differently in different people. So it doesn't mean that because my pain levels are at, I don't know, 10 and yours are at 8, that you're not having pain. So it will manifest differently. But then again, you manage where you can and you manage what you can. So it can never be the same as the next person. It's different from everybody.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. Deborah, do you have anything to add to that?
I think Joanne has said everything. Yes.
Yes, I agree. Again, ladies, I wish I could talk to you so much more. We need to have a reunion session one day, but we really want to
Yes.
thank the Australian Sickle Cell Advocacy for giving us this platform to meet sisters from various countries. We're all together in one space with this wonderful conference. And, you know, Joanne, I think you mentioned this, and so did Deborah, the fact that you're able to meet others like you and share these stories are part of the way we can get healing and get hope. And so I think you've touched several people today with your stories, and I'm sure if others want to reach out to you on the Huva app, maybe they can do so and maybe ask you some questions and you know, get in touch with you. But yes, thank you so much for being brave and being beautiful and just sharing your stories, even with the pain that you've gone through. We've been inspired and blessed as well.
Thank you,
Thank you
Dr.
so
Titi.
much.
Thank you, Ask a Platform.
All right, and thank you attendees for coming. We are grateful to have you, and we hope you enjoyed the rest of the sessions today. There's more on the community sessions right now.